mentioned the other day your favorite memories from going to Orange Bowl. Where were you sitting with that 3rd and 43, that Notre Dame game?
I was in the UM student section,
Okay.
so I'd kind of sneak in. Didn't, obviously wasn't a student, but I would always find a way. There was always a place you could stand
Okay.
in the student section.
Yeah, it's the 30-year anniversary of that catch this weekend, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I just wondered, what you remember about that moment and how the place kind of exploded.
It just did, and it's actually funny. I saw a video of it online just recently, and it's not even just the catch; it's the reaction afterwards. I don't know. As we know, the rules of college football were so different, and Thrill Hill, comes out, after the catch, gets up, runs to the middle of the field. I mean, it's just that was just one of those moments where the Orange Bowl is just going crazy. It actually reminds me of when Trajan's pick six in the Notre Dame game a couple years ago, where it was that same thing where the place almost comes off its moorings. So. And I think that was late second quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Early third, yeah. So it's like it didn't matter what happened after that. You knew Miami was going to win.
We haven't asked you much about FIU, just your impressions of them.
Strong arm quarterback in Morgan. A bunch of South Florida kids, so that they're going to have skill. We have a lot of respect for their running back, and then their offensive line. 2 years in a row now, very efficient. They don't give up a lot of tackle for losses, and they don't give up a lot of sacks. They have a little bit of a unique blocking scheme, something you don't see week in, week out. They stay attached at the line of scrimmage, and they collect you as you come. It's very hard for us to simulate in practice. Defensively, they're a 4-down team. They're going to challenge you with man coverage. They'll play with one safety deep, or they'll play with two safeties deep. They'll do both. So it's and then obviously we're aware that in this game, there's going to be emotions, going to be running high, and we expect their best effort. So they have our full attention. The bye week actually is, as they've practiced for 2 weeks for us, so we know we may expect to see a few wrinkles. But we've been able to keep an eye on them for 2 weeks as well and prepare for them.
How well do you know Butch Davis?
We've crossed paths a few times, different events and things like that. So that would probably be the extent of it.
Brevin, I assume, is good to go?
Brevin's still a game time decision. You know what I mean? I mean, we'll see. He's certainly better than he was a week ago. Just got to see what role he'd play on Saturday.
Looking ahead to next season and just roster numbers, do you anticipate playing pretty close to the 85 for probably the first time in forever here? I mean, is that sort of the goal?
That's a fine question. Obviously you'd like to. That seems to almost be a difficult number now, and until we make some adjustments on the initial rules. I think we talked about that before. It's going to be hard to get to 85. But we're going to get to whatever number we're allowed to get to and try to get as close as we can. Certainly we obviously have a lot of young guys on the team that, we continue to develop that nucleus. And add a really good recruiting class behind it.
It seems like you've balanced the roster really well. Did you sit down when you got the job and you're like, listen, here's how we need to go with this recruiting class in order to balance numbers at each position? I mean, how do you sort of go about that?
In terms of positions or by class?
Well, both.
Well, by class, that's why it was so important to go to the transfer portal, because we had to get older. We could not replace all of our empty seats, in essence, with youth, because then we would have had such a small recruiting class. Now, we had 7 returning seniors at the turn of the year. And those guys, and that's where even whether it's Amon Richards, who would have been a senior this year had he stayed, or Malik Young. I mean, those guys all count. So to be able to replace those guys with older guys, that's what KJ Osborne turned into and Trayvon Hill turned into. That helped us balance our numbers. So we were concerned about that.
You say they count. They don't count against the 85 once they're on it.
No, they don't count the 85, but they're still. In essence, if you replace them with youth, then you're going to have this tiny senior class, and that's sort of
the number you lost.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do a walkthrough? I mean, I think he's already practiced at Marlins Park. Are you guys going to get an opportunity to
Yeah, we'll have a chance to get over there and throw the ball around and just get a view for the sight lines and what it looks like in there.
That's Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that close wall to the back of the end zone, is that something you guys have to worry about?
I know our people are going over there to make sure that, number one, it's player safety, right? And we shouldn't do anything that puts player safety in jeopardy. But I'm confident, they've played games in there before, that they have the appropriate measures to make sure that it's a safe environment for the players to play in.
You guys have to share a sideline, right?
No.
No? So it will be opposite sidelines?
Opposite sidelines, yeah.
People have been talking about, you did have to share sidelines.
No.
Okay.
How do you foresee the crowd situation being? A lot of, FIU students grew up Miami fans, and
it's hard to predict. I just think in that environment, in that building, having been there for, either the Baseball All-Star Game or the World Baseball Classic they had there a couple years ago, where the place is really full and juicy. It's a pretty raucous environment, So I don't know who they'll be cheering for or whatever, but I think whoever's cheering, I think it's going to sound loud just because of the dynamics of even with the roof being open, just kind of like Hard Rock, because even with the roof is open, you kind of have the overhangs on top. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great environment to play in.
The
Two more
roof will be
questions for
open?
Coach.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you know if the roof will be?
It'll be open, yeah.
Okay.
Danino's mentioned on Monday some things that Jaron Williams can still take that next step in. What do you see as some?
Well, of course. I mean, no different than all of our players. You know, I mean, still comes down to his decision making, footwork. His lower body mechanics on throwing the football. I mean, all those type things, and then just becoming, the guy's still young, in a way. Just the more times you see all these pass concepts, the more times you see, get the reads of what's going on down the field, and where there's still a couple shots that we could have had in the Louisville game that we came off it too soon, and it's just all that type of thing. And no quarterback's ever going to play perfect, but more than anything, it's still just a fit in the offense, right? He didn't set out 2 weeks ago to throw 6 touchdowns. He just set out to just play well and orchestrate the offense and do what the plays were called. And I think as long as he keeps that mentality, I think we've had to deal with some adversity. How do you deal with success? We kind of went through that, as a team and as Jaron individually. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing as he continues to evolve, as being able to handle the position of being the Miami quarterback through good times and bad times.
Hey, Manny, I think time for one more. I made that up. So the total number of recruits you take this year, is it 26? Did you get one for Asa Martin? Is it 27? Or where does that sort of fit? Do you have a sense of that yet?
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere in there.
Okay.
And there's still a little bit of a rule in terms of, we're hoping that they change a little bit in terms of how many initials you're allowed to bring in. So that may have an effect. But at the minimum, for sure, we're expecting to sign 25, and we'll go from there. And that doesn't mean they'll all be in December, but we'll go from there.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you all.
Appreciate it.